Hello. Today I'll talk about the key steps of a systematic literature review. So there are several methods, but we will focus mainly on the systematic literature review for now. And the goal of this video is not to fully explain all the steps and variations, but just to give you an overview so that you know where we are looking at. So the first step is we define the research question. And then we develop a protocol with the objectives of those research questions. It can be a hierarchical structure of questions. And then you have inclusion and exclusion criteria, the database that you're going to search for papers, and the methods for extraction and analysis. The methods for extraction and analysis, it can, if you're not aware, you can define the references manager. For example, it can be EndNote or Zotero or other words. I'm not familiar with all of them. And the analysis methods you can do more manual using an Excel file, or it can be with software such as NVivo, which is very utilized in academia. So that's what they mean about developing a protocol. And then you can conduct the literature search in the database that you selected with a well-defined search string with the keywords and operators that you defined. So you can screen and select the studies according to your criteria, assess the quality of the papers, extract data, and of course the last step, to synthesize the findings. So as you can see now, I highlighted the search strings with keywords and operators because it might sound easy and simple when we see here. But I noticed for myself and also when helping to supervise master students that this step can be very tricky and hard, and it impacts a lot. And then I also would like to highlight again how many researchers are nowadays. It's around 9 million researchers, of course, not in the same field, but if we know that annually it is produced at around 2.5 million papers, you can imagine that the quantity of papers, doesn't matter the topic, is massive. And it can be very hard to get the most relevant ones or the ones that fit better to your research question. So that's why it's really important to have all these steps well defined, and it ends up being very tricky to have a good research questions and the keywords and all the criteria. So as I said, today I just focus on the keywords. This sentence that looks very simple, and as you can see, they advise us to look into databases. But from my experience and talking with some more experienced professors as well, I learned that using Google Scholar as the first step can be very helpful to define, and then you go through this. It's not a straight timeline. Actually, we keep going further and now, especially about the research question, the database protocols, and the strings. So it might take quite some time to have this very good protocol, and then you can go and finally study the papers for your research. So here in the next slides, I will, here in this slide, I will show you how I utilized Google Scholar. And as an example, I chose my own topic just because I have been working with this for some time. And let's say that the higher level of my topic is vulnerability management. And I know that I want to try vulnerability prioritization. So I will not show you working with the research questions because this is already a narrowed down topic. And then let's give play into this video. Then you can notice that if you start looking at Google Scholar for vulnerability prioritization, I don't know how is the algorithm behind, but it focuses to start with in the title. And then you can see that we have vulnerability or vulnerabilities, and it can be prioritization or prioritizing or prioritized. So there are variations. This is very important, even though it's simple, it's an important step. And then you can start taking notice of this difference. Now I'm highlighting that it can be also patch prioritization. So vulnerability is a more generic term. It's utilized. You can see there are several results. But if you are focusing on software vulnerabilities, then it usually translates to patch. So again, we see that it can be patch, patches, patching, and again with the variation about vulnerability. So as you can see, also the word management appears, and then again, that there are many things within the topic of vulnerability or patch management. So prioritization is just one step, but the reason why we do these evaluations is because if we look just for the title, maybe we can be missing some papers that approach prioritization, but it's not in the title. So anyway, the idea of this search was to show you that using Google Scholar, you are not yet in a database that you can retrieve several papers, but it shows you the variations of the words, and then as it suggests other papers and as you go through reading the titles, you get more and more words that can be used and the ones that appear more often. So summarizing, for this search, here I just organized for you to see that vulnerability, as I said, patch, patches, patching, and then if we evaluate these words, they have the same root, of course. It's not about semantics, but anyway, research has a little bit of everything. So after taking note of these keywords that you found using Google Scholar, you can summarize. And I'm not going to explain this right now, but I'm just showing that if you can see that the root is this, then most of the research, the search mechanisms, they allow you to utilize operators, or this is an operator, one of the operators possible to utilize in the database. And then you don't need to write yourself all the variations. You can utilize this kind of resources to have a better search and then combine this into a search string. So thank you for watching. As you can see, I will do in small pieces of information, and today was just to show you how to get your keywords, and in the next video we will work with building the string using these keywords. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.